Yeah.
Look out. Okay, get out. Okay, let's see.
Up
All right.
on DLive, Foxhole, YouTube, Trovo, waiting on Twitch.
I'm not gonna let him effing win. They kiss my ass. Hang on. Yeah. Okay. There. There. Are we back? Twitch still buffering thing.
Twitch usually takes a minute to reestablish. No, up across the board.
Okay, there. Well, we're back. Rebooted everything. Relaunched the daggum stream completely. Didn't even bother to go set up I usually have to set up the Foxhole. Alfie, chill out. Foxhole and YouTube. I didn't even do that. We just went cold turkey back on. So I'm like, we ain't gonna go for this crap today. We are not going for this shit today. So it seems like everything's fine. Everything's back up. I don't know what happened. We can all speculate till the cows come home. But who knows? Freaking idiots. Okay, so go ahead. What were you saying? We missed about everything you damn said, just so you know. So you might want to have to go over all. Did you hear that thunder?
What that is?
Yeah, that's thunder. But then I would blame the weather because, listen, y'all don't know how it works when you stream. Is basically, as long as your OBS is running in the green and you have good signal and your OBS is up and running, that's basically what you're streaming through. As long as Alfie. So, as long as you're running that, then you're usually okay. As long as it's going, you're going. But so my OBS is fine. My OBS, there's no issues. So whatever just happened, I don't know. Restream was the one giving me the heartache. It was buffering and Restream while my OBS is showing everything's fine. So I just cut down everything and brought it back up. I can't remember who said it in Fox. So it was like, time to shut it all down. I'm the king of Kings. It was like full restart. I was like, all right. And then we were just going to end it. And I was like, no, I ain't gonna let that happen today. We ain't gonna play the tuck our tail and go home. So go ahead. What were you saying? It ended right when I brought up, ironically, the article about the death count of the vaccines. So go for it.
So it missed the whole thing that I talked about the border stuff. They heard none of that.
Lost it all. Nope. You're gonna have to go back over it.
Long coffee break, Arsenal. Yeah, it was a coffee break of sorts. Sure. Didn't get a chance to go use the facilities, unfortunately, nor did I get a chance to go re-up the fuel. But nonetheless, here we are. We're back. And apparently you guys missed the whole stinking article, so I guess I'll go through it once more here. And of course, what this pertains to is a gentleman by the name of Brian Kolfage out of the Epoch Times here today talking about the border wall. More charges filed against the vet who set up the GoFundMe page for the border wall. And of course, if you remember right, this dated back under the Trump administration, a guy who opted to promote getting funds and that to put up a private portion of the wall as opposed to what Trump was redirecting funds to do, I believe down in Texas way. And apparently they've gone after this guy with everything, guns a-blazing. No pun intended here, but federal prosecutors filed new tax and wire fraud charges on July 6th against Brian Kolfage, the veteran who raised funds online for the construction of a privately funded border wall. The prosecutors charged Kolfage with lying on his tax return and causing a wire transfer in connection with the same scheme. The Epoch Times sent a request for comment to Kolfage's attorney, Kenneth Harmon. The indictment alleges that Kolfage misrepresented his income on both the original and amended 2019 tax returns. The original return claimed an income of $63,547, and the amended return claimed an income of $300,000. Both amounts were less than what Kolfage actually earned, the complaint alleges. During 2019, Kolfage received hundreds of thousands of dollars from We Build the Wall, Inc., and other entities and persons, the indictment states. Oftentimes, the deposits were obscured by passing through multiple organizations, corporations, entities, and persons before being deposited into the personal bank account Brian G. Kolfage maintained, the indictment states. Do you see what they're talking there? So help me understand, folks. What did we learn over the run up to the election and that, as old crazy Uncle Joe is sitting in his basement, somehow he was raking in dough left and right without having to so much as lift a finger to go do any sort of campaign whistle stops and get donations. No. See, they cooked up a much better scheme. If you go to Antifa or BLM, we'll just redirect it through a little outfit called Act Blue, and voila, wop babaloo bop, it ends up in the old DNC coffers, and lo and behold, Uncle Joe, without having to lift a finger out of his basement while eating Cheetos, making very few appearances, rakes in the cash. But you get somebody on the opposite side try to do that, making obscure payments through multiple organizations, corporations, and entities. Oh, no. See, you guys can't do that. Only we can do that, and you're not supposed to be onto our game. Kolfage was charged alongside other defendants, including former Trump White House advisor Steve Bannon. The case against Bannon was terminated in May following a pardon from President Donald Trump. The prosecutors had alleged that Kolfage and Bannon took $350K and $1 million from the fund, respectively, despite Kolfage's assuring during the fundraising that he would not take a penny in salary or compensation. Bannon has said the charges against him was a political hit job. Unlike the government-built border wall he committed to building and fought to fund, Donald Trump had no enthusiasm for the private border wall and showed his unhappiness with it publicly. Says, I disagreed with doing this very small, tiny section of the wall in a tricky area by a private group which raised money by ads. It was only done to make me look bad, and perhaps it now doesn't even work. Should have been built like the rest of the wall. 500 plus miles, he wrote in a Twitter post on July 12th, 2020. So, you see how that works, folks? If you are ideologically on the wrong side of the fence, much like the folks on January 6th, the 535 plus that have now been gone after for wrong think, being on the wrong ideology, they will send the government goons after you with full force. But so long as you're on the right side of the ideology, people like the Al Sharptons and Soroses of the world who openly flaunt and skirt payment of taxes in the millions and billions of dollars, perfectly okay. Anyway, carry on.
There you have it. There you have it, sir. There you have it. Well, it seems like they, everything's coming from every direction. So to be the border or the CDC or, I don't know. So anyway, I'll give you a bit of good news because I'm always following what's happening in the educational stuff. The school board approves the termination charges against a Tennessee teacher who made students read Ta-Nehisi's quotes but refused to present opposing viewpoints. So the school board in Tennessee voted earlier this week to approve termination charges against a tenured teacher accusing of insubordination and repeated unprofessional conduct after he gave multiple assignments focusing on white privilege but failed to present opposing points of view. So they voted 6-1 that the charges of dismissal against the teacher are true and warranted. According to the outlet, some former students gathered at the meeting to voice their support. I'll show you a picture of the 5 people that showed up. District officials pointed to 2 separate incidents that they said violated the Tennessee Teacher Code of Ethics, including denying students access to bring points of view and intentionally exposing them to embarrassment or disparagement. Hahn, who taught contemporary issues and coached baseball at Sullivan Central High School, received a detailed letter of reprimand on February after assigning students to read the opinion article by Ta-Nehisi Coates titled "The First White President." According to the letter, a parent had complained, citing the article somewhat angry and hateful opinion towards President Trump, which they say contained words that should not be introduced to our children by a high school teacher. The article claimed Donald Trump would not have been elected president if he was not Caucasian. It included words derived from cuckold, the term Coates said is specifically meant to debase by fear and fantasy. The target is so weak that he would submit to the humiliation of having his white wife lie with black men. Coates also used the word whore and wrote N-word 8 times, including 6 times in a single paragraph. Officials told Hahn the code of ethics required him to provide varying and credible viewpoints. Your job is not to teach one perspective, wrote Ingrid Dulwich, assistant director of Sullivan County Schools. Your job is also not to ensure students simply adopt your own personal perspective. Hahn defending the assignment by falsely stating those were the words of the president, and I thought the kids were mature enough to handle it. He also claimed there's no credible source for a different point of view. Really? He appealed the issuance of his letter of reprimand, but the board voted 6-0 to uphold it in early March. Oh, here's all the massive amounts of people that showed up for him. You know, we cut it off right here. 1, 2. This dude's covered his face, by the way, if you can't tell. So his mom drug him there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm gonna count this person over here, get their arm. I'm gonna say 10 people. Yeah, I'm not convinced. Later that month, Hahn faced second round of reprimands when students reported he showed a white privilege poetry video to his class that contained more inappropriate terms and phrases that included asses. I don't know. Is that shit? And F my brains out. Oh yeah. Oh, that's awesome. The charges of dismissal compiled by the school board alleged Hahn clearly knew the video's content was inappropriate, especially in light of the prior letter of reprimand. And more than one student confirmed that Hahn remarked to the class that playing the video could affect his job status. One student quoted Hahn as saying, "I'm about to get fired, but I really don't care." Hahn confirmed to the board that no other perspectives were presented to his students. During Tuesday's meeting, Sullivan County Director of Schools David Cox said that he'd been accused of racism for backing the charges against Hahn. So now, of course, racism, not the fact this dude's trying to indoctrinate your children, but racism. There's been a lot of talk online that accuses me of moving to dismiss Mr. Hahn because he's taught anti-racism lessons, said Cox. Let me be perfectly clear. Sullivan County Schools and I in no way condone racism in any county. We have encouraged all of our students, including Mr. Hahn, to promote an environment welcoming to all students of all races, of all backgrounds. Appropriate discussions around concepts like white privilege remain perfectly appropriate for a high school class, like contemporary issues, Cox continued. These charges of dismissal are about Mr. Hahn refusing to provide his students with access to varying points of view, which is required under Tennessee law, and these charges about Mr. Hahn, again, assigning inappropriate materials to his students. Hahn obtained tenure in the school system in 2008. He has 30 days to request a hearing before an impartial hearing officer and remains suspended without pay. Well, good. And they better not give the damn man his job back, because he said right there he is. He said right there that he didn't give a shit if he was fired. So guess what? You got what you wanted, buddy. You got fucking fired. This is an education and standing. I'm going to keep it in this tone. Top 10 stories of the week. Hold on. You're probably going to get pissed off. Duke professor under fire for a paper that encouraged support for cleaner energy in Africa. Africa. This is when you know you live in a first world country and you have no concept of what happens outside of your daggone privileged Apple iPhone, Starbucks drinking life. Professor at Duke University is being scrutinized for publishing a paper that encouraged African nations to transition away from wood-burning stoves to clean, inexpensive energy options that could offset carbon emissions, because he's a freaking idiot. Biden's administration expands tuition breaks for future teachers, removes the GPA requirements to provide access to students of color, the Daily Wire. Again, so we got tuition breaks for future teachers, but forget what kind of grades you get in school. I mean, you're just applying to be a damn teacher. What's grades and all? Parents at an exclusive Manhattan school reject apology from principal over woke video. Parents in the Spence School, an elite $57,000 per year all-girls private school in Manhattan, opted to reject an apology issued from the school's principal over a video shown to students disparaging white women. Parents claim that Principal Bodie Brenzandin is not doing enough to curb the school's woke agenda. You think? UC San Diego requires new assistant chemistry professor to complete research that advances anti-racism and anti-oppression, the Daily Wire. The University of California, San Diego is requiring new assistant professors in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEMs fields to address issues of race and racism. Assistant professor in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry are required to design and teach undergraduate courses that align with the African American Studies and the Black Diaspora and African American Studies major in the sciences, in the technology, in engineering. Nation's largest teacher union moves forward with a resolution that dubs Israel occupied Palestinian territory. Anybody see what's going on? Representatives for the nation's largest teachers union passed a resolution aimed at recognizing Palestine as a state. The resolution passed during the National Education Association annual representation meeting was referred to the appropriate committee and insists the union must recognize the existing sovereignty of Palestine, the Palestinian children, families, and their human rights to access quality of education, living with free. So now they're getting their asses involved in this shit. Nikole Hannah-Jones rejects UNC's tenure offer for position at Howard University. New York Times journalist Nikole Hannah-Jones announced that she rejected a tenure position at the University of North Carolina and will take a similar position at Howard University, a historically Black college. Hannah-Jones' announcement came after UNC initially denied Hannah-Jones' tenure. I don't know what that's about, but maybe y'all do. Ohio private school students denied re-enrollment after mom's inflammatory campaign against indoctrination. The children of two outspoken Ohio mothers were denied re-enrollment at a prestigious private school after the duo demanded transparency in their children's alleged race-based curriculum. The mothers were notified on June 11th that they had breached the school's parent-school contract. Holy shit, you hear that? That's lightning, folks. Thunder. That was like thunder and lightning mixed together, I should say. That they breached the school's parent-school contract by creating a coalition that pushed back on what they called the school's intimidation and bullying campaign against students and parents with non-progressive views. Look at this shit. Teacher union president falsely claims CRT critics won't want to ban schools from teaching history, discussing racism. I don't even have to read that one. As everybody knows, that's bullshit. Chicago public school putting free condoms in nearly every school, including elementary. And you wonder what this is, where everybody's concerned. Oh, no, CRT is perfectly fine. Just like pushing this equity train, plus teaching these kids about touching themselves. We're not going after your kids. We're just going to put condoms in elementary schools. Nearly every Chicago public school provides students as young as fifth graders with menstruation products. That's fine. And condoms. What are you doing? What is school giving kids condoms? The CPS Board of Education passed an action. Fifth graders. How's fifth grader? What, 10, 11? Require all students in Illinois to provide menstruation products. Require schools that teach fifth grade and up to maintain a condom availability program. Maybe you should teach 10, 11-year-olds. They have no business having sex. Nation's largest teacher union says it will teach critical race theory at all 50 states, 1,400 school districts. Well, good luck with that, Tennessee. You see what happened to that dude. Bring it, teachers union. The nation's largest teacher union pledged to teach critical race theory, the ideology that claims America is irredeemably rooted in racism in all 50 states and across more than 1,400 school districts. The union works with following negative press coverage of the resolution from primary right of center news outlets. The NEA removed the agenda from its website. Do this again, people. This is all you got to do. All you got to do is raise a fuss. All those people out there telling you to sit on your hands, don't do anything, hug them to death, give them love, it'll world peace, and all that shit. Bullshit. Pick your damn phone up and call these damn people. Pick them up and bitch. I don't care if people call you a Karen. Be a Karen and proud of it. Shut this shit down. You're not going to shut it down if you keep your mouth shut. But boom. There's my education chip for the day.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna go for broke, might as well do it, right? So while all that is going on, obviously we know that there's going to be stuff going on outside of Arizona. Pennsylvania is next. Full forensic audit is initiated in PA. This brought to us by the All GOP news feed here yesterday. It says Pennsylvania State Senator Doug Mastriano, a figure well known to America First Republicans for his dedication to election integrity, has announced that a full forensic investigation will be initiated in Pennsylvania, not only of the 2020 general election, but provocatively of the 2021 primary election. Interesting. The Gateway Pundit reports that Mastriano says he has a majority on his committee who will vote to issue subpoenas to audit elections in Philadelphia and 2 other counties. The audit will be similar to the Maricopa County forensic audit. Other Pennsylvania counties could also be audited. And here we see Papa D with a tweet says, breaking, PA has initiated a full forensic audit on the 2020 election results. And so Senator Mastriano, as chair of the Intergovernmental Operations Committee, penned an op-ed explaining the necessity of his decision to initiate the Pennsylvania investigation and his authority to do so. In the op-ed, he wrote, I issued letters to several counties requesting information and materials needed to conduct a forensic investigation of the 2020 general election and the 2021 primary. We have asked these counties to respond by July 31st, or they plan to comply. The counties represent different geographical regions of Pennsylvania and differing political makeups. Some are Republican, while others are Democrat, which means that this will be a balanced investigation. The Intergovernmental Operations Committee is a standing committee of the Pennsylvania State Senate with oversight and investigatory responsibilities regarding activities relating to or conducted between two or more governments or levels of government, including the administration of elections across the Commonwealth. As set forth in Pennsylvania Senate Rule 14D, each standing committee is empowered with the authority to inspect and investigate the books, records, papers, documents, data, operation, and physical plant of any public agency in the Commonwealth, including county boards of elections. Woohoo. Very interesting. Says this is necessary as millions of Pennsylvanians have serious doubts about the accuracy of the 2020 general election. A January Muhlenberg University showed that 40% of Pennsylvania voters are not confident that the results of the 2020 election accurately reflected how Pennsylvanians voted. Discounting or mocking their concerns is neither an answer nor proper in this constitutional republic. So there you have it. I'll stop there for the moment and also highlight a couple other things, what's going on around the other swing states, if you will. You've probably seen in recent days up in Michigan, I think it was their attorney general, what's her name? Kessel, whatever it is, trying to go around and browbeat, along with the state police, anybody who had put forth any claims. Now, you talk about a state thug force. That is exactly what they want to do. They want to try and silence you. Anybody who had made any sort of claim whatsoever about any sort of mishaps, incongruities, anomalies, anything of that nature, where they may or may not have put statements out there, put affidavits out there on the record. Now, why in the world would they have to go around and do that? Why are they so scared? And in conjunction, now we see down in Arizona, the Senate has just approved a third manual recount of the ballots down there. So does that mean it's going to affect the reports that are due out here, I think now end of August, from the wrap up of the audit and that they've done? I don't know. But at the end of the day, they're going to go through and count this yet a third time, authorized by the Senate down in Arizona as well. So lots going on. And of course, Georgia probably isn't too terribly far behind either. And let's see, one other thing I'll bring up here by way of other corrupt states. Let's shoot over to California. California moves to regulate private ag wells, constrict water usage, and control food production. That's back on the 8th now, but obviously we recognize that a lot of the western states and that are under severe drought conditions yet again. I just talked about this a little bit on Thursday night, if you're with me, over on the soapbox about the Corn Belt not having not a lot of rain, which I think I've had my fill in the last 24 hours. I've had better than 2.5 inches of rain in less than 24 hours time here. Gave a little update on the old hugelkultur beds. I'll get that uploaded on the archive channels here for you guys. But nonetheless, Trump, before he left office, as I recall, I believe put together an executive order that would have rescinded how they're rerouting waters away from farmers' fields and dumping clean water into the ocean to quote unquote protect some environmentally protected species of whatever. I don't care what it is. That's all BS. We know that it is. And it's depriving the farmers net out in California. Almond farmers, I know in the past couple months have had to uproot their trees. Asparagus farmers, anything that requires major usage of water, and they've had to plant crops that are that don't use as much water in order to conserve. So that being said, it says the failed state of California and its recalled governor are preparing for droughts in 2021. The state is getting ready for this natural disaster the best way they know how, by using more government control and by claiming ownership over natural resources on private property. Really? Really? How exactly does an entity known as the state own anything? How can an entity, a dead entity, own anything, folks? Ask yourself that question. Who does have the ability to own something? Anybody with a soul that's living, breathing, constitutional rights, life, liberty, and land? You and I? No. I don't think so. They can't claim any ownership. That's BS, and I hope the folks learn to fight back against that. It says, in fact, the state is now requiring flow meters on ag wells to stop farmers and private landowners from pumping water on their own property. Pumping water will no longer be free and unlimited. Of course not. Not when they sold the water rights to private corporations like Nestle, who would rather charge you a fee for the very water you originally had rights to. You know, for a profit, of course. Wasn't that the rigged game, Newsom, Brown, all you former governors that constructed that little nice little handout, carve out to people like Nestle? Pumping
Yeah,
water, no longer
Nestle's-
free and unlimited. California plans
Nestle's,
to meter.
hang on a second. Nestle's one of the worst. They literally will go into a lake and with their big ass trucks pump out all the water, fill their trucks, take it back to their bottling station, and resell it to you. Yes, they're horrible at it.
So California plans to meter all rural wells, limit the amount of water farmers can use, and charge them millions of dollars for it. These new controls will inevitably change cultivation practices across the state, constricting food production and controlling food supply. So they're depriving you, the farmer, of your mineral and water rights. Really? And let's see, if that farmer were somehow to actually have a crop that he is able to sell, what do you think that's going to do to food and nut prices and anything else that comes out of California and goes to you and I as consumers across the rest of the country or anywhere else? You think those prices aren't going to jump accordingly? It's a tax. And what right does a dead entity state have in telling you that knows best about your land what to do with said land? They don't. And I sincerely hope that the farmers are fighting back against this, as California carrying out the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, profiting off natural resources. California has already implemented the 2014 Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, a major part of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. This law claims that natural groundwater is a shared resource owned and controlled by the state. BS. That's all BS. They can't own squat. It's a dead entity. California farmers no longer own the water under their land and cannot make decisions on how best to preserve their crops during times of drought. This is the first time that rural well owners will be required to measure and report their pumping practices. In the past, the state tracked electricity consumption and used aerial photos to monitor how much water was being extracted from underneath private farmland. Now the state is taking full control. Talking about 140 groundwater basins. Government acts like a parasite, claims ownership of all groundwater, then raises the price. Yeah, it's the old adage, folks. You're bumping along here and all of a sudden you get into an accident and, the government says, "Oh, that's too bad about that little accident you go to the hospital with here," and they give you the remedy, which is a set of crutches or a wheelchair, and then they charge you for that and say you should thank us for that crutch or wheelchair, even though they're the ones that caused the problem to begin with. Same deal. It's
Well,
absolutely insane.
I'm gonna go along these same lines. I'm gonna play this video for you guys again that I shared with you 51 seconds the other day, and then I'm gonna bring up an article where this is where I think again one of the situations where people need to be paying attention.
So me and my coworker got talking today, and something came up that I didn't really think about when my dad mentioned it to me. He's worked in the agriculture industry for over 40 years. This year, farmers are being offered 1.5 times the value of their crops to destroy them. They're also being told by the federal government they will not receive subsidies for farming if they refuse to destroy their crops. What does that mean? That means that the farmer cannot afford to provide you with food based upon the taxes the government is levying on him if the government doesn't in turn give him back his tax money to provide you with food. Kind of a fucked up system, but that's how it works. And, well, they're not going to subsidize them if they don't destroy the crops. They'll pay them more than what it's worth, and they want them to destroy it, and they'll still get their subsidies. They're trying to create a food shortage. We've got 8 months to get our own food supply, or we're probably going to be facing mass starvation.
Okay, I'm gonna drop this and go back with my audio because I'm gonna show you this. This is something else that came up that I was kind of going through to find the daily news for today, and this popped up. We need strong leadership. Executives beg Biden to fix the supply chain issues. Leaders in the retail industry are exhorting President Biden to show strong leadership in helping American supply chains return to normalcy. This is important. Wait till I get this part. Matthew Shea, President and CEO of the National Retail Federation, wrote a letter to Biden. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, God, don't get me started there. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo and other White House officials that outlines challenges facing business leaders. Shea noted that the recession has placed bottlenecks on ports and shipping processes, and in reality that has affected over 97% of American retailers. Our national supply chains are stressed because of the COVID global pandemic, and they continue to struggle through our economic recovery. We would like an opportunity to discuss the impact these issues are having on the nation's retailers, our workers, and our customers, as well as potential solutions to address current future disruptions. The letter adds that American business leaders are experiencing a host of other obstacles. Roughly 5% of executives report inventory shortages. Meanwhile, 70% say that they have added up to 3 weeks onto their supply chains. As a result of rising production costs, 3/4 of businesses are raising prices for their customers. Shea called upon President Biden to show strong leadership in resolving supply chain issues. We continue to work with key executives at the ports and with our transportation providers. We need strong leadership from the administration to galvanize attention to the current situation, as well as work to resolve long-standing issues that limit safe and effective port operations. As the administration undergoes supply chain reviews for critical sectors, including transportation, addressing the current state of our nation's port and freight movement needs to be a critical component of the strategy. As trade continues to grow, we need to make sure we only have truly 21st century ports and freight movement. This certainly is central to the administration's Build Back Better approach. The National Retail Federation letter was written as federal lawmakers continue to debate Biden's American Jobs Plan, which proposes over $2 trillion in infrastructure spending. Congressional Republicans note that much of the president's bill is devoted to education and welfare programs rather than roads, bridges, and ports. This is our chance to expand our idea of what infrastructure means. I said Senator Elizabeth Warren. Okay. But what I'm saying is if you look at the bigger picture, that 97%, it's kind of focuses on retailers. But again, the port, the freight, what that kid said back there about his dad has been in agriculture for 40 years. Those are the people I listen to and believe, right? And finally, the only thing I had brought up for today was even back in May. The Town Hall wrote this article. The media hates you and is shocked that you hate it back. And I found this so worth reading again. I read it again earlier. And it says, I guess we'll be told we're unseemly if we wiggle at the cancellation of useless stooge Don Lemon low-rated airport lounge video Muzak or at how the Israelis leveled the Gaza high-rise housing, the AP and Al Jazeera will color us unseemingly because when the media suffers, we celebrate. And we're not going to apologize for it. Half of America, at least, now cares about the media precisely as much as the media cares about us. That is, not at all. In fact, we actively wish it ill. We cheer when some trash website or paper folds. The frequent layoff announcements makes us giddy. Sad journalists whining about how people on Twitter dare criticize them because cause us to howl in delight. Our contempt for them is a result of their contempt for us. And as individuals and collectively, we should do whatever we lawfully can to hasten the collapse of the mainstream media as an institution. Harsh? Nah. See, the media hates us and actively sides with our enemies. It's always amused how these hacks do not even bother to hide their full-throated collaboration with the media who want us silenced, disenfranchised, and or dead. Yet, get all huffy when we refuse to treat them as the neutral truth tellers they aren't. The most active supporters of censorship in our culture are members of the news media itself, bar none. They cover up Democratic perfidy and invent Republican scandals. They try to police our language. They condescend to us. They dox innocent citizens. They lie all the time. They carry the water for liberal leakers. They try to get our own real reporters like Town Hall Julio Rosas killed for refusing to follow the narrative. Yet we're supposed to pretend they deserve our respect and indifference, and they are courageous heroes battling for truth. They're a joke. The media is garbage, and we must treat it as such. Take Don Lemon, preferably far away. Apparently, the business model of catering to Blue Anon shut-ins who wear their mask in the shower isn't working out so well. He's off the air as of last week. Maybe he'll come back in some form of torment people running to catch the Delta flight. But perhaps CNN is tired of getting ratings on par with the Macrame channel and enlarged prostate network. I have some history with this human punchline. In my last appearance on CNN in December 2015, he cut my mic when I refused his command not to point out his ridiculous hypocrisy regarding Philomena Milhouse von Pantsuit. He will not be missed except by his fans, both of them. Also, Don's fellow licensed and registered regime advocate, Brian Stelter, is a potato. The tube's number one tuber is still on air, for now, flocking for his masters and dodging hungry dubliners. Over the weekend, America cheered as the Israelis flattened the building housing the Associated Press in Gaza. This led to widespread laughter and high fives among American patriots. And we were even happy when we later found out that the same high rise had also housed some Hamas military HQs. American journalists informed us that this was terrible, but they never quite explained why. After all, the Gaza branch of the media is not a bunch of Middle Eastern Woodwards and Bernstein digging up the truth and not caring whose toes they step on. They're dedicated Palestinian propaganda transcriptionists who played a central role in facilitating the terrorist information operations against the only free country in the region. They chose a side, and it was the other side. Well, the other one. So don't ask us to care when they get treated like it. Now, some might argue that a free society needs a crusading media to function. That's a nice cliche, but it assumes that we still have a free society and a crusading media. If you think we have a free society, think again. This is a war on dissent, and the media is leading the charge in coordination with its tech buddies. Try posting some COVID stuff that doesn't lavishly follow the ever-changing narrative. You could, in a free society, understand that the media supports the suppression of unapproved speech. They want everyone else gagged and dissented information suppressed. They call stuff that rejects the narrative disinformation, and if the clowns taking dictation from Raggedy Ann, Mick Circleback are the arbiters of objective reality. And a crusading media, these are the same people who had a presidential nominee's son cold taking megabucks from foreigners, including the Chicoms, and who was blasting rails off the behinds of strippers, and they actively suppressed the story because it could hurt their preferred candidate. If it was Don Jr. instead of President Asterix Snortinate's son, it would have been wall-to-wall coverage. The best part was the same people who bought the bogus Russia PP tape story whole hog were suddenly squeamish about Russia disinformation. that everyone knew was nothing of the sort. The media made a conscious decision to suppress perhaps the juiciest scandal in American history to try and help the Democrats. So please ask us to care when bad things happen to it. Please ask us. Now, you can personally fire Don Lemon or drop a missile from your F-15 on some building where the media is actively collaborating with American murderous enemies. But what can you do to hasten the destruction of the garbage media? Number one, don't patronize it. Don't subscribe to the enemy media outlets. Don't watch them. Give them nothing. Number two, never help them. When mainstream media outlets call you to get some information, refuse to help and tell them why, because they suck. And GOP hacks, you need to rethink going on the media that hates us. I get the idea of speaking to the other side to expose them of the truth, but it won't work. If you are effective, you'll get diverted, distracted, and your mic will be cut off like Lemon did to me. Number three, support GOP candidates who will cut off the special privileges the garbage media enjoys. The media now wants additional antitrust exemptions and intellectual property protections from Congress to save it from collapse. How about no? Number four, mock the media. There is no institution with more inflated sense of itself than the press. That smug self-satisfaction is one of the things that helps make up for the crummy pay, though most young journalists today are rich kids whose birthing parent and daddy subsidize them. The refusal to pretend that these oafs deserve respect causes them no end of fussy fury, so refuse. The media hates you. You owe it nothing. Give it nothing except your content. Conservatives must stand together to fight and join towers. So that sounds off. But yeah, so I saw that and I was like, I normally, you guys know, I don't read an article from top to bottom, but like that to me was worth it because I couldn't have said it better myself. They are like, especially what's happening now with the border, with COVID, with what's going on with these supply chains, what these agriculture people that work on these farms are trying to say, and they won't let the information get out. Like what Breaking talked about today. What's the other one? We got the border, we got the COVID, we got, what else is there?
Election.
What's going over in the Middle East?
Yeah, we didn't spend a lot of time talking about that, but maybe I'll remember to bring some of that forward on Wednesday.
Well, I'll show you one thing really quick. I have to share my whole screen. Breaking will tell you I had to do this, so I know I have to. But I'll show you. I don't know if y'all ever an Anon from South Africa. He's going to be hopefully joining me tomorrow to talk about what's going on there. I've been looking for someone from South Africa for a couple of years. They're really, really hard to find. I know that sounds crazy, but I mean it. He sent me these videos. If you don't know what's going on over there right now, there's people in these like terrorist regimes that are demanding Zuma's release. And he sent me some of these videos. This is them burning down look, a whole lot of cars. I will get to the one that's important though. Hang on. I got to share my audio. Hang on. Sorry. So I got to get this out of the way. I'm not used to Telegram is horrible when you're trying to share a video. You basically have to do the whole daggum thing. Yeah, this one is horrifying. But they're burning everything down. But this was them riding trying to get footage. They turned the other side.
Oh, Allah. Turn your face.
Baby in the car.
I'm sorry, my angel. I'm so sorry.
Good, right, baby?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go.
Mind you, that is not someone that is there that, you know, is like this is just people driving down the road. On their window. Maybe they're burning it down. This is not a but that's how they respond when something happens and they want it to stop. But hopefully I'll get into more of that with him. Hopefully Breaking will be able to join me. Him and Breaking got along really well. But yes, I had a friend. Oh, there's this last one. Sorry. I'll share this one and then we'll leave you with, hang on, we'll leave you with this. Yeah, Mercedes.
I call him out.
Yeah, there's some very not good people over there right now making a lot of demands, and they'll threaten whoever. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care if you're a politician or just some mother driving down the road with her kid in the back of the car. They don't care. They don't care who they hurt. They don't care. I'll bring him on to talk about it more and more. It's pretty scary. That's all I have, Mr. Spectre. You got anything else?
That's it for today. It looks like some folks are watching DJT over at CPAC, apparently.
Well, it'd be nice if we could play it, but they'll shut us all down if we do that.
Yeah.
They stay live on YouTube. But yeah, well, y'all go over there and catch that then. RSBN's probably broadcasting it. I support them. They're very good to us. They gave us permission to broadcast their footage and stuff. That's only a handful of places we have left that, won't shut you down for doing it. But yeah, go watch that over there. I'm sure it'd be interesting to hear what he has to say. Blue modem and router. Wait a minute. Thumper Rose, thank you, Storm. Blew the modem in the router and lurking. Oh, sorry, Thumper Rose. So, yeah, it's coming down here, too. I don't know if y'all heard it in the background. But, yeah,
Sound
I
like you're
definitely got
moving
some
furniture.
thunder and lightning. Do what?
Sound like you're moving furniture.
Yeah, it's freaking thunder, man. Thunder and lightning. It is what it is. But thanks for hanging with us. Sorry about the issue we had earlier. I won't try to speculate what happened. I'll let y'all determine that. It was not my OBS, though. It was not the storm that contributed to that. But yeah, so hopefully catch us tomorrow. I'm very excited again about speaking to somebody that actually lives in South Africa. It is a personal thing for me. It has been for a long time. And I don't think South Africa gets enough attention. It got a whole lot of it when Trump tweeted out that about what was happening to the farmers. And then, as all you guys noticed, after that stopped and after Lauren Southern did her documentary on farmlands, which if you haven't seen that, I highly suggest you watch that. It just kind of left the news cycle. And that doesn't mean anything is stopped over in South Africa. It's not. It's not stopped. So, well, did you hear that? Yeah. So, with that, we'll let y'all guys go. Let y'all go watch the true president. Breaking, take us out. Daddy's not here. You got to do it.
All right, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
If not, then Wednesday, pending weather, equipment failure, whatever. Bye.
Bye.